cutting through the air like a pair of freshly snapped chopsticks. It's DIA, or Dudes in Asia. What up, peoples? As always, this is David Hayter.
And this is your boy David Nguyen, aka McSnoogles.
Welcome back, everyone. It's another beautiful Tuesday night here on October the 23rd, and we're feeling good.
For tonight's program, we'll talk about some things that are going on in our lives, and then we'll move into today's topic, politics.
Indeed we will. Tonight, it'll be the DIA on the PIA. That's the Dudes in Asia on the politics in America. So, man, what's up with you, dog? Anything new in the past week?
To be honest, not really, man. Besides, brainstorming a lot about what I could do with my basketball stuff, not much. How's about you, man?
Also the same old stuff, but, right before the show, I just got back from a quick TV interview for local Mie television, about some volunteer work I do out here. So, I don't know, man. I'll check it out. We'll see if it ends up being any good or not. Hopefully my Japanese ain't too bad.
What did they ask you?
For this interview, it was about the volunteer work I do at the cruise ship out here. It's not really like with the cruise ship, but there's a teacher that I worked with last year, and she started a volunteer group for people to kind of show cruise ship passengers that come to Yokkaichi, around, kind of help them find places to eat, help them with their shopping, stuff like that. So a lot of what they wanted to know is so when the foreign people came and you helped them, how did you feel? I was like, yeah, I felt pretty good. They're like, tell us more. I'm like, it was fun. They're like, and I'm like, I had a good time. So no, it was pretty cool. You know what I mean?
You've been on TV before, right? On the interview as well.
I have, man. Yeah. Well, I did an interview with some comedians, right, at a local a restaurant out here. Was it Matsumoto Rairei-ken? They're famous for Japan's tonteki pork dish. It's just like a giant pork chop fried in pig fat. It's delicious.
Sounds amazing.
Anyway, yeah, it is quite good. Yeah. If you want to take 10 minutes off your life, go eat 2 of them. No, but I was chilling in there, and then I just saw these 2 guys walk in there, a bunch of cameras behind them. I was like, who are these raggedy-looking mofos? But they're just wearing, like labor type of stuff, you know what I mean? It just looked like construction workers. And they came up, and they're just like, oh, can we do an interview with you? I was like, sure. And, we were just, talking crap for a couple of minutes, making some jokes and stuff. And, at the end, I was like, okay, here's my joke. I said, thank you very macho. I do my muscle pose. They got a kick out of that. And basically, they're just like, okay, so if we're going to use this, we'll send you, or no, not send me anything. They're like, we'll give you a call, and we'll tell you when it's going to be on TV. I was like, okay. And then I think, I don't know, about a week went by. I'm like, oh, they didn't call. They're not going to use it. And then I get a call, and they're like, hey, David. I'm like, yes. We're using it. You're going to be on TV tomorrow night. I was like, sweet. And so it was right when I came to a new school, and it was right when we were doing our self-introduction lesson. And so I told the kids, I was like, yeah, I always tell them that I have 5 boats, and then I also tell them that I'm Batman, and that Batman has a lot of money. That's why I have 5 boats. And I don't need that job. I just do it for fun. Right. And I was like, they're like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to be on TV tomorrow night. I got a gang of money. I'm famous, too. I know Sandwich Man. They're like, what? You know Sandwich Man? I'm like, yeah, check it out. This channel, this time. I'm like, okay. I come back to school the next day. I'm like, hey, you were on TV. I'm like, what'd I tell you? But, yeah, man. I don't know. It's kind of cool just to, I feel like if you put yourself out there, you can have some pretty interesting experiences,
Oh, definitely.
A lot of... Yeah, when people ask for help with something, if you show up and help out, and you prove you're reliable and, you do good work, people notice, and then you get things like that. I mean, granted, I'm not getting any money for being on TV, but, it's helping out our cause, and it's helping the local people. So,
yeah.
Hey, win-win,
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
But, yeah, man, I don't know. Enough about me. So, I know, yeah, you told me earlier that you haven't really been keeping up with politics and whatnot too much, huh?
I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, if you're looking at news websites, you can't helped but be bombarded by Trump and
Yeah.
all of the surrounding stuff that goes on with him. You know, it's hard to avoid that. Like you can't really read like anything online without it being pointed to Trump. I mean, do you experience the same thing, or because because I don't
Yes.
really watch local news, but I still like I check like U.S. based news, and of course it's going to always be around politics. But I don't.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I do experience that same thing, man. Like, I do keep up with the news pretty regularly. Like every morning I wake up and I listen to like, my local radio station back home in Long Beach, Los Angeles, find out what's happening there. And usually like there isn't a day that goes by that Trump isn't somewhere in the news. And then during my lunch break, I look at the AP app, Associated Press, and always like top story. If it ain't Trump in number one, it's like 2 or 3,
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, that's kind of how he ran, though. He's just like, I'm going to be in your face all the time. It's all about me. What I say goes,
Yeah, I'm gonna say some outlandish shit and stir up the pot a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. He's the type of dude where, like, when he goes to a funeral, he's upset because he's not the center of attention.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, like, for me, I've been in Japan since 2014,
Mm-hmm.
And when did you come to Vietnam again, man? I get the dates kind of mixed up.
13. I think, man.
13?
Yeah, 2013.
Right?
Yeah.
That's right, because it was right when I came back from studying out here, right? So it was like the beginning of 2013.
Yeah. I came out here
Right?
Yeah, like August 2013.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Maybe you're going for a quick trip then, and you came back, and then you went for good in August, right?
Yep.
Okay, it's coming back to me. But yeah, it's like, think about how America was when you left. It was like Obama was the president, and like, I don't know, I feel like we're just coming out of like the Great Recession and stuff, of like 2008.
Yeah.
And the whole like financial market crash and, the bad housing
The
bubble.
bailouts.
Yeah, so it's like pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about back when I came, it wasn't too far off from then. But just like, I feel like the whole attitude has changed, Like within America, just politics is a lot more like polarized and divided. And then like America's standing abroad has changed a lot, In some ways, it's good. And in other ways, like not so good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, like what's the kind of stuff that you hear out there? Do you have like anybody asking you like what you think about
Trump?
certain things that are happening in the news?
I mean,
like they just ask about Trump all day?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, like, you do notice it actually even more so than when Obama was in office. I was just like, it was very weird. So when like Obama was in office, it's like, oh, it's a black guy. What's it like? Things like that. It's more like a joking thing. But when Trump came into office, it was just like, dude, like, what's wrong with your country? How could you elect such a crazy guy? And then, of course, of like, immigrations, it's a pretty big topic for Vietnamese people. So, because they have a lot of relatives in the U.S., and there's always concern of like, can I even go to America? Because that guy seems racist and he doesn't want foreigners, things like that. And there's just like, what's wrong with that country? That's just like that's what I get. That's the questions I receive, and it's like, well, I mean, yeah, this guy's crazy, but he can't really just single-handedly do so much to a certain degree of just like, oh, I don't want any tourism. It's like, no, that's crazy. That's money, But for
yeah.
but for people like who want to migrate to America, yeah, it might be a lot more stricter now. But I mean, that's just mostly their concern is mostly like traveling to U.S. The type of questions I get. How's it about you, man?
Yeah, yeah. I remember when he started running, You know, and I felt kind of like a lot of the people did on TV, you know, in American news, like, oh yeah, you know, it's just like a joke, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he'll go away and then the real politicians will come in. But you know, as we saw, he just kept getting more momentum and more momentum,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty soon he was like the Republican nominee to run for president. We're like, oh yeah, but you know, there's no way he's gonna beat out Hillary. And then like I remember I was at school, like I was working, and I just had open like the live tracker, and I was like, oh yes, Hillary's in the lead, so she'll probably win. It's like, oh, Trump wins this state. I'm like, oh, that's fine. It's like he wins another state. I'm like, whatever. It's like Trump's in the lead. I was like, what the feezy? And then I remember like it said like, oh, we project Trump won. I was like, damn, I didn't see that coming.
I don't think anybody
And
did.
yeah, and then a teacher just came up to me and he's just like, David. I was like, what? He was like, what the fuck? I was like, hey, I don't know, man.
I think that was like
I don't know what
anyone's
happened.
reaction that I met who was like an expat. It's like, whoa,
Oh, really?
what happened? Minus, I met one guy who was like I think he's like a pro-Republican, or I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, yeah. But outside of that, it's just like, oh, how did that happen? No one knows.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
yeah.
like they said, I think because they even said like the Facebook feeds that people had were, to a certain degree, it's like controlled, that people just assumed that Hillary was going to get it. But it's almost like then you just realize the feed was catered to what you believed in and what you kind of wanted to hear, right?
Mhm.
When
Yeah.
you're kind of shaded from like, actually, this guy's got some momentum, but because you don't associate yourself with that crowd, you didn't really understand what was the full scope of what's going on.
Yeah, that's very true, man. Like a lot of things now, they call it kind of like narrow casting,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, for me, I feel like I'm a pretty moderate kind of guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I get my information from a lot of different sources,
Mhm.
you know? But now, like, when people, like, watch the news or they read something online, like, they go to a website that reinforces their views,
Correct.
you know?
Correct.
Not one that challenges it.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, so it's like they kick it in their own kind of like political bubble,
Yeah.
and then they all just kind of reinforce each other's ideas. And then like the other side never really talks to the other side. They're just like, oh, they're dumb and they're wrong, so I'm not even going to listen to them at all.
Do you think that's the direction of journalism lately? Because
You
I
know, I
could, for
think-
even me, my
yeah.
personal experiences, I kind of saw the shift from CNN to being a more kind of just like in the middle to like a completely just like screw Trump.
Yeah.
So they became,
You know-
I like because I use CNN as my like one of my sources, and I kind of just saw the progression of more biased, opinionated news compared to, you know, what journalists should be, is just actually handing out the truth.
Yeah, I think maybe like, you know, it could be one of two things. So one, it could be kind of like a what did I say, like a backlash against what Trump was doing against journalism. You
Mhm.
know, it's like he's basically calling them fake news because he didn't support them. You know, and so it's creating like an antagonistic relationship. And so like CNN won't back down and like Trump won't back down. So now they're just enemies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, too, like, you know, journalism is like a good institution of society for, you know, keeping governments honest, you know,
Mhm.
and reporting what happens. But at the same time, it's also a business,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And so maybe they saw, okay, we're losing in the ratings to Fox News and like MSNBC, and like we're never going to be Fox News. So why don't we get like a little more left leaning and like talk some crap about Trump, because that's what sells, you know.
Correct.
Yeah,
Ultimately,
that's
still
what
a
I think.
business.
Anyway.
Yeah, ultimately still a business, and if your
Yeah.
platform, you know, caters more towards one voice, one side of the argument, then you would probably want to lean towards that side, so you can kind of keep the
Yep,
viewers.
yep.
Because if you're too neutral, like just be like, you know, let me find another source that, like you said earlier, is you know, the hive mentality of like, yeah, this is more towards what I believe in. Instead of just someone
yeah,
who's
yeah.
play neutral, is like, well, why don't you think Trump's an idiot? You know, So I want to find a source who's going to also think Trump's an idiot instead of a person who's just trying to be too objective.
Yeah. Well, and like, I think something else I've noticed too is, I have a lot of teachers that follow politics, and so they always ask me like, "Oh, Trump did this. What do you think about it?" And that's what I say too. Is like I can't figure out if he like really means what he's saying or if he's kind of like putting on a role. You know what I mean? Like, is he saying like, yeah?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like that's okay, but it's like, is he saying the things, like these type of things, to get what he wants, or does he like truly believe it?
That line is becoming so blurry.
Yeah, it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell them because you can kind of see like that's how he stayed in the headlines ever, like, back in the 90s or even prior to that. It was just to say whatever to kind of just create, stir the pot, get his name on headlines, even though he was kind of irrelevant. But now that he's a president, I mean, because he was also like a reality TV star. So, like the more outlandish things you say and do, the more people will kind of focus in on you. But unfortunately, it also worked for his presidency to reach to the White House. And now it's just like, well, if I want to still be mentioned every day, I got to do something, say something that, blurs the line of like, do I really believe it, or am I just saying it for the sake of, stirring the pot?
Yeah, and I think, that's the big thing too is, we didn't plan this night out to talk about Trump. Like, we just wanted to talk about politics in America, but it's like you can't talk about
you can't.
Politics in America,
you can't.
Without talking about Trump.
Yes,
like he's really changed the game.
Elephant in the room if you were avoided.
Yeah. But, and like people ask me, they're like, so David, do you like Trump? And I'm just like, anybody who's the president will get my respect. You know what I mean? But a lot of the things that he does, I'm just like, man, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like I would do things differently. But then at the same time, like, I don't really go off of how I feel. I look at what people get done, And it's like, I feel like the economy is doing well, but like part of that is because of what Obama did. And then the other part is just kind of confidence in him,
Yeah.
And then I think too, like, he's really shaking up the international, geopolitics, like diplomacy. Like, he's really like pissing off some of our allies. So I think like that's not good.
Yeah.
And then like the image of America, like, in Japan has definitely like taken a dive since he's come into office. But then at the same time, he is forcing some people to come to the table and like renegotiate some stuff that may benefit America in the long run, but then at the same time, it's like we're still sacrificing some other things to get that benefit. And so I don't know, man, I feel like at this point, like, my prediction would be that he's not doing too good, but there's still time, like he might do worse, he could do better, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, that's just my argument, you know what I mean? But
politics
I don't
is
know,
a
a lot
dirty
of my
game,
teachers.
Man. Politics is a dirty game. I think like this might be like the new, like, how back then they kind of say like, hey, don't leave your religion out of the conversation because you don't want to start creating that, like the separation between people, right? And I think politics is like probably maybe Trump religion ever since like what's been going on in the past few years, like who's your political affiliation, and then it becomes ugly. I think that was like the category, like religion was like that thing, like was dividing people back then, but now it's like I think politics more than ever.
I think so, man. Yeah, and then that's like another thing too. Is, before there are a lot of like racial divides, religious divides. There were political divides to a certain extent, but I feel like you said, politics is kind of overtaking race. It's overtaking religion.
Yeah.
In terms of what defines people in America.
Correct.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's just been crazy to see everything from the outside, especially because living in Japan or living in Vietnam, anywhere in Asia, Like, you're not exposed to the constant news cycle.
Oh, definitely.
And you're not exposed, to all the, like, election ads and stuff, too.
Yep.
You know, so we just see, like, what makes the news and, like, what's on the internet.
And you're still bombarded by it for some reason.
Yeah,
That's
know,
the
like, I bet it'd be...
Because, like, I'm in Vietnam, and,
Yeah.
I mean, you still just hear so much about Trump, you know? Which is, like, amazing. Because, like, when I was here, like, you don't hear anything about Obama besides, like, oh, Obama's coming to Vietnam, you know? That was about it. But, like, his politics made no difference to anybody. But when Trump came into play, like, his moves that only affect America was still being, like, has opinions from the Vietnamese people, which is, like, amazing. It's like, wow, you actually guys actually care about American politics. It's like, why? You know? But that's just the world, I guess, you know, we're kind of living in now.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it goes to show, too, like, how much more interconnected everything is becoming.
Definitely.
Especially, as people get more access to information and the internet, maybe like 10, 20 years ago, like, somebody out in the boonies of Vietnam wouldn't even know what's happening. And now it's just like, bring on my phone. What? Like,
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's definitely interesting, man.
Yeah.
I'll ask you a question, man. What do you think, man? What are you predicting is going to happen with the next presidency? Do you think it's going to be 4 more of Trump, or do you think another person's going to dethrone him?
The last 3 presidents have 2 terms, right?
Yeah, it has been, right? Yeah, Bush, and then
Clinton, Bush, Obama, right? Wait.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. My guess is another term.
Really? Well, we'll have to see, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's just the way I just kind of, I guess to me, just like the trend is just for some reason you're just going to repeat because we don't know who's the next primary candidate for the Democratic side. But the fact that still Trump won is still amazing to me.
Yeah.
A guy with no political background and very interesting views still made it. So I don't think 2 in a row is impossible.
Yeah, well, I think the way he became president is just telling people what they wanted to hear, and he played the game the right way. Like he looked at the states he needed to take and like he went there. So if he can keep that up moving forward and like people don't get tired of his policies, that'll be good.
But okay,
for him.
He still lost the popular vote though, right?
Yes, he did.
So that electoral college system is still way out of date.
Yes, it is. Yeah, man. But, it's like that's the way it's set up now, and the people in power want to stay in power, and I don't think they're going to change it anytime soon.
No.
Yeah.
Have you heard about, I think I talked to you about it, this was like deep fakes?
I think so, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's the whole technology of like, just pretty much like faking people's, pretty much as long as you have like a good voice actor, you can use any video and just pretty much like make the mouth mimic what the voice actor said. Like that's gonna be like a dangerous game. Probably the next presidential election because they could probably just like create fake videos. I mean, this is still like this year, right? Like imagine in the next 2 years when the technology gets better that they're gonna probably output so many like ridiculous politicians saying some things that's like, dude, that's not real. Yeah, that's gonna be a crazy game in the future.
Yeah, and then that brings up the possibility of like purpose like disinformation.
Yep.
Where somebody could make their own like fake videos and release them and then prove those are fake, and then it'll call the other questions into doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, these 8 videos are fake, so this one is fake too. And it's just like, oh, actually that one was real. And then you just made 8 ones look that other one look fake,
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be pretty crazy, dude. What do you think, dude? I think that's a good place to leave it for tonight.
I think that's I think so.
That'll do it for another fresh episode of Dudes in Asia. Coming up next week, we're talking crime, vice, and narcotics.
Nice. Crime in Vietnam and Japan can be really different than in other places of the world, so it'll be an interesting topic to discuss. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Be sure to check out our blog at dudesinasia.blogspot.com. Hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/dudesinasia.
Yeah, we don't have too much on that blog right now, but I swear something's coming soon.
I still need to help you out on that, bro.
Forget about it.
I still need to help you out.
We'll get it together, man. It's a work in progress. We're busy people, you know. But yeah, man, if you want to follow me on Twitter, search for @DavidHader. That's @DAVIDH, the number 8, the letter R. That'll do it. Peace out.
Peace out.